that I may enjoy the spending of it. Hopper belongs to our family, or the family belongs to him, I am never sure which. You must have missed in him the deferential bearing of a manservant in Paris, yet he is true gold, like the sovereign you bestowed upon him, and he bestowed upon me. Now here, monsieur, is the evidence of the theft, together with the rubber band and 2 pieces of cardboard. Ask my friend Gibbs to examine them minutely. They are all at your disposition, monsieur, and thus you learn how much easier it is to deal with the master than with the servant. All the gold you possess would not have wrung these incriminating documents from old Hopper. I was compelled to send him away to the West End an hour ago, fearing that in his brutal British way he might assault you if he got an inkling of your mission.' 'Mr. Dacre,' said I slowly, 'you have thoroughly convinced me.' 'I thought I would,' he interrupted with a laugh. 'That you did not take the money.' 'Oho, this is a change of wind, surely. Many a man has been hanged on a chain of circumstantial evidence much weaker than this which I have exhibited to you. Don't you see the subtlety of my action? 99 persons in 100 would say, no man could be such a fool as to put Valmont on his own track, and then place in Valmont's hands such striking evidence. But there comes in my craftiness. Of course, the rock you run up against will be Gibbs's incredulity. The first question he will ask you may be this: why did not Dacre come and borrow the money from me? Now there you find a certain weakness in your chain of evidence. I knew perfectly well that Gibbs would lend me the money, and he knew perfectly well that if I were pressed to the wall I should ask him. 'Mr. Dacre,' said I, 'you have been playing with me. I should resent that with most men, but whether it is your own genial manner, or the effect of this excellent champagne, or both together, I forgive you. But I am convinced of another thing. You know who took the money.' 'I don't know, but I suspect.' 'Will you tell me whom you suspect?' 'That would not be fair, but I shall now take the liberty of filling your glass with champagne.' 'I am your guest, Mr. Dacre.' 'Admirably answered, monsieur,' he replied, pouring out the wine. 'And now I offer you a clue. Find out all about the story of the silver spoons.' 'The story of the silver spoons? What silver spoons?' 'Ah, that is the point. Step out of the Temple into Fleet Street, seize the first man you meet by the shoulder, and ask him to tell you about the silver spoons. There are but 2 men and 2 spoons concerned. When you learn who those 2 men are, you will know that one of them did not take the money, and I give you my assurance that the other did.' 'You speak in mystery, Mr. Dacre.' 'But certainly, for I am speaking to Monsieur Eugene Valmont.' 'I echo your words, sir. Admirably answered. You put me on my mettle, and I flatter myself that I see your kindly drift. You wish me to solve the mystery of this stolen money. Sir, you do me honour, and I drink to your health.' 'To yours, monsieur,' said Lionel Dacre, and thus we drank and parted. On leaving Mr. Dacre I took a hansom to a café in Regent Street, which is a passable imitation of similar places of refreshment in Paris. There, calling for a cup of black coffee, I sat down to think. The clue of the silver spoons. He had laughingly suggested that I should take by the shoulders the first man I met, and ask him what the story of the silver spoons was. This course naturally struck me as absurd, and he doubtless intended it to seem absurd. Nevertheless, it contained a hint. I must ask somebody, and that the right person, to tell me the tale of the silver spoons. Under the influence of the black coffee, I reasoned it out in this way. On the night of the 23rd, one of the 6 guests there present stole £100, but Dacre had said that an actor in the silver spoon episode was the actual thief. That person, then, must have been one of Mr. Gibbs's guests at the dinner of the 23rd. Probably 2 of the guests were the participators in the silver spoon comedy. But be that as it may, It followed that one at least of the men around Mr. Gibbs's table knew the episode of the silver spoons. Perhaps Bentham Gibbs himself was cognizant of it. It followed, therefore, that the easiest plan was to question each of the men who partook of that dinner. Yet if only one knew about the spoons, that one must also have some idea that these spoons formed the clue which attached him to the crime of the 23rd, in which case he was little likely to divulge what he knew to an entire stranger. Of course, I might go to Dacre himself and demand the story of the silver spoons, but this would be a confession of failure on my part, and I rather dreaded Lionel Dacre's hearty laughter when I admitted that the mystery was too much for me. Besides this, I was very well aware of the young man's kindly intentions towards me. He wished me to unravel the coil myself, and so I determined not to go to him except as a last resource. I resolved to begin with Mr. Gibbs, and finishing my coffee I got again into a hansom and drove back to the Temple. I found Bentham Gibbs in his room, and after greeting me his first inquiry was about the case. "How are you getting on?" he asked. "I think I am getting on fairly well," I replied, "and expect to finish in a day or two, if you will kindly tell me the story of the silver spoons." "The silver spoons?" he echoed, quite evidently not understanding me. "There happened an incident in which two men were engaged, and this incident related to a pair of silver spoons. I want to get the particulars of that." "I haven't the faintest idea what you are talking about," replied Gibbs, thoroughly bewildered. "You will need to be more definite, I fear, if you are to get any help from me." "I cannot be more definite, because I have already told you all I know." "What bearing has all this on our own case?" "I was informed that if I got hold of the clue of the silver spoons I should be in a fair way of settling our case." "Who told you that?" "Mr. Lionel Dacre." "Oh, does Dacre refer to his own conjuring?" "I don't know, I'm sure. What was his conjuring?" "A very clever trick he did one night at dinner here about 2 months ago." "Had it anything to do with silver spoons?" "Well, it was silver spoons, or silver forks, or something of that kind. I had entirely forgotten the incident. So far as I recollect at the moment, there was a sleight of hand man with great expertness in one of the music halls, and the talk turned upon him. Then Dacre said the tricks he did were easy, and holding up a spoon or a fork, I don't remember which, he professed his ability to make it disappear before our eyes, to be found afterwards in the clothing of someone there present. Several offered to bet that he could do nothing of the kind, but he said he would bet with no one but Innis, who sat opposite him. Innis, with some reluctance, accepted the bet, and then Dacre, with a great show of the usual conjurer's gesticulations, spread forth his empty hands and said we should find the spoon in Innis's pocket. And there, sure enough, it was. It seemed a proper sleight of hand trick, but we were never able to get him to repeat it." "Thank you very much, Mr. Gibbs. I think I see daylight now." "If you do, you are cleverer than I by a long chalk," cried Bentham Gibbs as I took my departure. I went directly downstairs and knocked at Mr. Dacre's door once more. He opened the door himself, his man not yet having returned. "Ah, monsieur," he cried, "back already? You don't mean to tell me you have so soon got to the bottom of the silver spoon entanglement?" "I think I have, Mr. Dacre." "You were sitting at dinner opposite Mr. Vincent Innis. You saw him conceal a silver spoon in his pocket. You probably waited for some time to understand what he meant by this, and as he did not return the spoon to its place, you proposed a conjuring trick, made the bet with him, and thus the spoon was returned to the table." "Excellent, excellent, monsieur. That is very nearly what occurred, except that I acted at once. I had had experiences with Mr. Vincent Innis before. Never did he enter these rooms of mine without my missing some little trinket after he was gone. Although Mr. Innis is a very rich person, I am not a man of many possessions, so if anything is taken, I meet little difficulty in coming to a knowledge of my loss. Of course, I never mentioned these abstractions to him. They were all trivial, as I have said, and so far as the silver spoon was concerned, it was of no great value either. But I thought the bet and the recovery of the spoon would teach him a lesson. It apparently has not done so.